thanks so much, everybody. You know, I've been to a lot of iMedias, and I know so many people in this room, and there's not a place that I would rather be at any time. So thanks for just being you. Hey, I wanted to talk today when Sarah and Catherine talked to me about being on stage and providing a seller's point of view about how our industry was changing. I thought, why not talk a little bit about selling? And I say that because there's not a person in this room that doesn't have something to sell every single day. You know, I've been in this industry for about 25 years, and 24 of them on the buy side. And yet, there was never a day when I didn't have to sell a client or an internal audience about something. And so I want to talk a little bit about how the business of selling in our industry is changing and how we can take advantage of those changes to make sure that we get as many good ideas as possible through the processes of our clients and out there and changing the industry. So when I talk about mani-pedi selling, I'm sure that 2/3 of you in the room knew instantly what I was talking about, because really from the dawn of time, bonding and bonding sales approaches like dinners and cocktails and swag and all of those sorts of things have been a big part of the media business. And I say that from the perspective of a seller, but also with all those years of buying, we had the same strategies. One of the first things that I learned from a boss at the first agency I worked for was, we need to bond with our clients. We need them to like us, that we need them to love us. We need to go to dinner with them and cocktails with them and all of that. And it became almost an obsession at times. What I wanted to talk about today, though, is, are we spending too much time trying to get people to like us and have pleasant meetings and feel that feeling of kumbaya at the end of the whole process? Is that really the way to have longevity with our clients? And I think there's some evidence, actually a lot of evidence, that suggests that it isn't. So our industry looks like this now. It doesn't look like Mad Men anymore. So the idea of getting a contract because you have a great relationship with someone is something that's really, that really seems to be gone. And one of the most eloquent expressions of this is, who in the room has read the book The Challenger Sale? Some hands. Well, I really encourage you to do so, because the authors of The Challenger Sale took a look at all the people who sell out there, not just people who are on sales forces, but anybody who spends their day in the process or the business of selling. And what they said is, we all fall into 5 buckets. And I'm not going to talk about each bucket because they're going to be, some of them are relatively self-explanatory. A hard worker works hard, for instance. But I want to talk about the relationship seller and the challenger seller. The world seems to think, or the world really rewards people who fall into this kind of relationship seller bucket. It's the people with 1,000+ names on LinkedIn. It's that thick Rolodex that the world has. But the author suggests that there's a different kind of seller, a challenger seller, that is much more successful, that's able to get many more important deals and contracts through the pipe and out there and changing the industry. And I believe if we can't get our clients, whether they are agencies or brands, if we can't get our clients to buy things, then we've failed. It's not their failure, it's our failure, because it's our energy and responsibility to keep the industry moving forward. The challenger seller is someone who is constantly challenging the conventional thinking on a business by saying, what about this? Here's a new idea. I've been thinking about this business challenge and I want to move forward. When you're a challenger seller, you are not always right. When you walk into the room, a lot of times clients can say, well, that's not exactly it. But I don't know of a single client that doesn't appreciate this kind of thinking. Now, on the sell side, a lot of organizations, and I've been talking to sellers over the last couple days about this, have really transformed the ways that they prepare sales teams and sales organizations in order to take advantage of this challenger selling strategy. Let me just give you an example of how we at ValueClick have altered the way that we launch products, for instance. So earlier this summer, we launched a major initiative in cross-device advertising, so across 3 platforms, of course, the PC web, mobile web, tablet web. And you know, the usual gimme approach from years ago for launching something like this is you make the nice deck, you make the beautiful sell sheet, you get this great piece of swag, you give people some money to get out there and have cocktails and dinner with people to sell that story, and you go through. What we realized very quickly is that's not the way that you can sell in this environment anymore, because it's not what people want. It's not what you guys want. So for us, it's multi-day trainings on a new product. It's 4 tech learning sessions, so 4 different components of our solution, and spending 2 hours with each seller to get them to understand exactly every component. It's regional and vertical specific training. So how does this affect auto? How does this affect CPG? How does it affect entertainment? When we actually went out there for the first few weeks, we actually put all of our technology experts on the road, and they did 600 meetings with our most important clients to say, hey, you guys are bringing very different people to the room. We need to do the same thing as well. And again, it's not, we don't operate in a world anymore where we can go through with a sense of generalities and expect to sell something. We need people in the room. When you have a VP of Insights in a room, or you have a technology team in a room, sellers have to have that same person there so that they can ask the tough questions and get the tough answers and win in that way. We did 28 industry learning events, and then on the swag front, finally, we commissioned a research study, because that's what people needed with cross-device. They didn't need another thing. They didn't need a jeans day. They didn't need any of that stuff. What folks needed was a practical understanding of how to put cross-device to work for their businesses. And I saw really this in action in a sales meeting that I went to in August. And in that meeting, we walked into the room, and there were many more people than we expected. And there were just loads and loads of people from the client, from their technology team, from their research team, from the agency, the same way. And we had exactly the same kind of support and strength in the room. Now, from an agency standpoint, I'm sure that you guys see every day that clients have more and more knowledge about digital, are asking more and more questions about digital. It's not something that people are modestly engaged in. People are deeply engaged into all these areas. So we need to make sure as a group that we are not focusing as much time and energy necessarily on the building of relationships, but rather on the solving of problems. Now, it seems like a very elementary conclusion. I understand that, but if you think about the way the world works, if you think about who gets rewarded in a sales organization, if you think about on an agency side, the importance when we go through an interviewing process, and the importance of relationships and finding people who are well connected to clients, there's really a lot of evidence that says what we really need is a different kind of person. We need this challenger personality that is constantly focusing on the issues and problems that a business faces and bringing ideas over and over and over again. The sort of person that doesn't get defeated on a daily basis when an idea gets presented and maybe the client doesn't buy in immediately. It's the person that keeps fighting and keeps fighting. So I guess in conclusion, I'd say this was a direct quote from one of our sellers after a series of meetings about cross-device. And this whole idea that you don't close those people, the people in the audience, it was a combination of brand and agency people, over a mani-pedi or a cocktail. And it's a funny idea, and I understand my first slide and the whole name of this isn't terribly serious. But I think this is a really important conclusion, that we as an industry, in order for us to succeed and grow and prosper, we need to make sure that we are challenging the ideas and we are as deeply involved in the businesses of our clients as they are, even deeper. So thank you very much.